For nearly 48 hours, under the burning African sun, a starving lioness wandered helplessly across the dry savanna, her head trapped inside a metal paint can. She couldn't see where she was going. She couldn't smell danger. She couldn't hunt or drink. Every shaky step revealed her ribs, her strength fading with every passing hour. And trailing closely behind her was a pack of hungry hyenas, following her like shadows, waiting for the moment she collapsed. But just when nature seemed ready to claim her life, fate intervened. A man driving along a remote reserve road spotted something staggering in the distance. As he came closer, he realized the truth, and the sight nearly froze him in place. The man slammed the brakes and stepped out, shielding his eyes from the blinding sunlight. In the distance, the lioness stumbled again, her legs shaking violently beneath her thin frame. The metal paint covered her entire head, scraping the ground each time she tried to lift it. It was clear she hadn't eaten or drunk anything in days. The heat around her shimmered, the dry earth cracked beneath her paws. Every few seconds she paused, gasping for air inside the suffocating container. And that's when he noticed them, 6 hyenas circling her at a distance, pacing eagerly, their laughter echoing across the flatlands. They knew she was weak. They were waiting for her to fall. The man's heart pounded. Approaching a lioness was suicide, especially one surrounded by predators. Yet watching her stumble blindly, walking straight toward the hyenas, was unbearable. She wasn't a fierce hunter now, she was a dying animal begging for one more chance. He grabbed his binoculars, confirming the horrifying reality. She had been struggling like this for far too long. If he didn't act quickly, she wouldn't survive another hour. With trembling hands, he reached for his phone and made a desperate call for help. Help arrived faster than he expected. Within minutes, a wildlife rescue vehicle bounced across the rough terrain, dust swirling behind it. 3 rangers jumped out, their expressions tightening as they saw the lioness staggering in circles, the metal clanking against her legs. She was moments away from collapse. But the danger wasn't just her condition. The hyenas were closing in. Their snarls grew louder, creeping closer in a loose formation, sensing that their victory was near. One ranger fired a warning shot into the air, scattering them temporarily, but they wouldn't stay back for long. The team quickly debated their options. A tranquilizer dart might knock her out, but with her head stuck, she could suffocate before they reached her. Waiting wasn't possible. Every second drained her strength. Finally, one ranger stepped forward, gripping a long metal pole with a hook designed for snare rescues. "We remove it manually," he said. The others hesitated, but there was no better choice. The man who found her joined them, helping create a human shield against the circling hyenas. Slowly, cautiously, the brave ranger approached the lioness. She heard footsteps but couldn't see. Her claws scraped the ground weakly as she tried to back away. With one precise motion, he wedged the hook between the can and her neck. She struggled, legs trembling, until suddenly, the can popped free and clattered onto the dirt. Her face emerged at last, sunken, gasping, terrified, but alive. The moment the can fell off, the lioness collapsed onto her side, gasping desperately as fresh air finally reached her lungs. Her tongue hung dry from her mouth, her breath shallow and shaky. Up close, the rescuers could finally see the truth. She was nothing but skin stretched over bone. Her ribs stood out like sharp ridges, her hips protruding, her eyes sunken and glazed with exhaustion. One ranger quickly knelt beside her, pouring a slow stream of water onto his hand and letting droplets run toward her mouth. She tried to lap it up, but her tongue barely moved. The man who found her removed his shirt and shaded her head from the burning sun. The hyenas watched from a distance, frustrated but unwilling to challenge the armed rescuers. Their laughter faded into low growls as they drifted away, disappointed that their easy meal had been stolen. The team lifted the lioness onto a stretcher. She was frighteningly light for her size. As they carried her to the truck, she attempted a weak roar, but only a faint rasp came out. It was heartbreaking. At the mobile vet station, the medical team rushed in. They discovered abrasions around her neck from the can, severe dehydration, early-stage starvation, and traces of toxic paint residue on her muzzle. Her chances of survival were uncertain. The vet sighed deeply. She hasn't eaten for at least 48 hours, maybe longer. Still, they refused to give up. This lioness had endured too much to die now. For the first 24 hours, the lioness drifted in and out of consciousness. Vets monitored her through the night, giving her fluids, nutrients, and medication to flush out the toxins she had inhaled. No one knew if she would make it. But just before dawn, something changed. She lifted her head, weakly, shakily, but it was the first sign of fight they had seen since her rescue. Over the next few days, tiny miracles followed. She began drinking on her own. She managed to stand for a few seconds before collapsing again. And one morning, she took her first determined step toward a bowl of fresh meat. Everyone watching felt a spark of hope. The rescuers grew deeply attached to her and gave her a name, Amelie, meaning the beautiful one. Despite her suffering, she showed a gentle, calm spirit. When caretakers approached, she no longer flinched. Instead, she watched them with soft, grateful eyes. Videos of her progress spread online, capturing millions of hearts. People around the world sent messages of love, calling her a warrior, a survivor. Amelie was no longer the dying lioness with a can on her head. She was becoming a symbol of strength. Months passed, and Amelie transformed from a frail, dying lioness into a powerful, radiant queen of the savannah once more. Her golden coat glowed under the sun, her muscles regained strength, and her eyes, once dull and defeated, now burned with life. The rescue team knew what came next. It was time to return her to the wild. They transported her to a protected reserve and opened the gate of the transport crate. For a moment, Amelie hesitated. She looked back at the people who had saved her, the man who first spotted her, the rangers who risked everything, the vets who nursed her back to life. Then, with quiet dignity, she stepped forward into the grasslands. But just a few meters away, she stopped. Slowly, she turned back and walked toward the man who saved her. She pressed her head gently against his leg, a lioness giving thanks in the only way she knew. Then she walked away, strong, graceful, and finally free. Her story was unbelievable, but true. Compassion had given a dying lioness a second chance at life.